with New Energy New York and the Clean Energy Alliance. We are on the 5th of 6 different sessions that we do here every 2 weeks or so. Our next one is actually next week. Today's session is focused on understanding legal issues and policy for clean tech businesses. So if you're in the clean tech area, you need to obviously try and understand what's going on at the policy level as well as from a legal perspective. We have an eminent panel here of 3 speakers. We're going to do the panel session a little differently from what we've done before. There'll be short presentations from each of the panelists, and then we'll go into the Q&A session for each of them. So we'll just get right at it. Our first panelist is Tom Thompson. And Tom, introducing Tom here, he is the CEO of GridWorks Consulting. That's a new name.
It's a new name. Filed with the Department of State on Monday.
Okay. The New York State Clean Power Company dedicated to making alternative energy an economic reality. Established in 2000, you didn't have to do that only for this session, so you know that. Established in 2005, GridWorks develops distributed power systems and renewable power markets in the U.S. and around the globe. So you incorporated just on Monday. You've been doing this since the last 4 years.
Energy Now, they changed my name.
Okay, you just changed your name. That's the key here. Tom is a member of the board of directors of the New York Solar Energy Society, a not-for-profit organization, and New York State chapter of the American Solar Energy Society. In this capacity, he works with the NISIS membership on education and public policy issues in community, legislative, and regulatory arenas. He works with and advises trade and advocacy groups in New York, New Jersey, and New England, and beyond, to enact policies that will accelerate the creation of fair, competitive, and sustainable renewable power marketplace in the U.S. From 2006 to 2009, Tom was chairman of the New York Solar Energy Industries Association, serving on the board for over 5 years. As a consultant, Tom served as senior vice president for Atlantis Energy Systems, a U.S. manufacturer of building integrated PV systems from 2005 to 2009. That's when we worked with Tom and created the New York Solar Industry Roadmap when he was chair of the New York Solar Energy Industries Association. Tom holds a BA in Environmental Science from the State University of New York at Plattsburgh and completed the NERC Regulatory Studies program at the Eli Broad Graduate School of Management in Michigan State University.
Freddie put everybody to sleep reading that, sorry. So thank you, everybody. This is a great honor for me to be here. Really appreciate Pradeep and really congratulate everybody here at the center for this great, exciting award that they just received. What I want to do here is to quickly move through the different market mechanisms that are in play right now around the globe to give you a sense of what's working, what's not working so well, and so the first thing I wanted to do is just start off by saying, where in the world are we? Now, a lot of people know these numbers, but not everybody knows these numbers, and the key thing in here is that, look at what Germany's got. The total last year has actually been revised upward because the Italy number is now over 5 gigawatts. So the total last year worldwide was 17 gigawatts. That is the capacity equivalent of 17 large nuclear plants. And I focus on Germany because they've installed so much, 17 gigawatts, and they've really used renewable energy in general and solar in particular as an economic development engine for their country. 133,000 people working in PV full-time in Germany. So a quick comparison, New York is about a third of the size, we have about a quarter of the population, and our economy is about a third of the size. Our peak load is about a third of the size of Germany. In New York, our total installed PV capacity, I believe, is less than 50 megawatts, and in Germany, they have over 17,000 megawatts installed. So obviously it's because Germany is so sunny, right? That's what's required in order to make our market, right? And of course, the truth is that Germany has the same amount of sunshine as Juneau, Alaska, where the sun doesn't shine a couple months out of the year. America has the greatest solar resource of any developed country in the world, and Richard Perez is here who helped me understand this. So let's look at where we are in the United States. Just a few years ago, if you paid attention to this stuff, New York was in the top 5. We've since now fallen out of the top 10. We're not even projected. These are solar buzz numbers projected by 2014. So as it stands right now, the industry experts are not seeing New York as being a major player. And that's what we're here to try to do. We talk about markets. A lot of terminology gets thrown around. So basically, I just wanted to put this simple little thing. You can Wikipedia this, okay? A market is a place where parties engage in an exchange. We buy stuff, we sell stuff. We know that we want markets to be competitive and efficient, meaning many buyers and sellers and good transparency. Free markets, by the way, are a vision that I don't think anybody can point to one that actually exists in the world. So let's talk about what are the market-making mechanisms for photovoltaics. And we're talking specifically about ratepayer-funded programs here. We're not dealing with the tax issues, at least as far as this presentation. There are capacity incentives, which is the kilowatt type of incentive, and there are production incentives. Capacity incentives are rebates. The good thing about rebates is they're really effective at building markets when they are in their infancy. We've done that in New York State with a pretty strong rebate program. The not so good thing is that they're expensive for ratepayers. You're asking the ratepayer to pay upfront for 20 years worth of energy production. It's difficult to bring that to bring the market to scale because of that reason. 3 types of production incentives. The first one, SREC, solar renewable energy credits, where you separate out the energy value from the clean air value of a renewable. The S means it's strictly for solar. The good thing, and then reverse auctions, which is where you bid in, and the utilities generally are the ones who administer the auction. They take the lowest bids up until the point where they reach their mandated requirement, and then they stop. And then feed-in tariffs, which have been the models that have been used mostly not in the United States. The good thing about an SREC, it ensures real energy production. You don't put power into the grid, you don't get an SREC. I have a project in New Jersey right now, we just completed 350 kilowatts project. That thing is making about $1,500 today in SRECs with this sunny weather. They can be easier to administer. The not so good things is that the typical markets that we've seen created in the United States are not long term. They tend to act like a really unregulated stock market where you have severe boom and bust cycles. Right now, New Jersey is in a boom. $600 plus per megawatt hour, 60 cents per kilowatt hour. It's expensive for the ratepayer. In Pennsylvania, they're in a bust. Similar program to New Jersey, but a lot of megawatts came into the market and they are now over capacity, and it's not clear when that Pennsylvania market is going to recover. The Pennsylvania market was trading about 6 or 8 months ago at about $440 a megawatt hour. Today it's down to $130 a megawatt hour and falling. And then the third type is a reverse auction mechanism known as a RAM. Again, it ensures real production. Historically, it's tended to favor bigger corporations to the detriment of local companies in New York State that have been working to make this market a reality. They are difficult to administer. The LIPA program and the NIPA program, we were just talking before, LIPA is finally now 2 years and 3 months after announcing the awards, are starting to get some projects in the ground on Long Island. We're still waiting to hear from NIPA. New Jersey also has a separate reverse auction market that has been underperforming terribly. They've been making changes to it. The system sizes are getting bigger. They're less close to the loads. And then the last thing is the feed-in tariff. And this is from the German Trade and Investment. You know, the idea of a feed-in tariff is that it can be multiple technologies. You're not using the power behind the building. You're putting it on the grid. And the tariff rate is designed to support the individual requirements of the technology. So in other words, smaller solar systems get a bigger incentive than large wind farms, large biomass facilities, for example. So the good things, truly, feed-in tariff has been the most successful, most democratic, most resilient program. It promotes tech diversity, and it's also highly scalable. it may, in fact, be the least cost to ratepayers as well. And I know that there's a lot of questions about this, and I'm raising a lot of issues, so we'll talk about them more. The not so good thing is that in the United States, they're not politically viable. I'm not saying they won't work. And I've coined this little thing, FIT has become a four-letter word here in Albany. So this is Germany. This is what has happened with the implementation of the feed-in tariff. 20 years ago was the first feed-in law there. It was the 100 Solar Roofs program, it was called at the time. They bumped it up a couple of times, and in 2004 it really took off. This data is for 2009. If I had the 2010 number, it's essentially twice as high as the 2009 number. These are monthly deployments. Germany installed the capacity equivalent of 7 nuclear plants last year. This is how they did it on a month-by-month basis. No policy is perfect. Churchill said democracy is the worst form of government there is except for all the rest. There are problems with this policy. I won't say that it's perfect, and that 2100 number you see there in June from this year is because they announced a decline in the rate. So that's what's happening here. The point of this slide is to show that this deployment in Germany has primarily gone to smaller systems, under 100 kilowatts. Under 30 kilowatts, we've got 38% of all the systems. That's on the left, the donut on the left, the yellow. The dark gray, 25% of all the systems are under 100 kilowatts. What does this say? You have a strong, robust residential and small commercial marketplace. All of NICEA's members, all of NICES's members have jobs as a result of the type of policy, the way it's been implemented in Germany. The point of this slide is to just show that, number one, in spite of all that they've installed, this market growth potential, they've only gotten 4% of the available rooftop in Germany. There's plenty more to be done here. The challenge is with the storage side of it. The challenge is how to manage the power that's being introduced to the grid. And I have a little, there's battle lines on these policy issues, and I have a little statement that I say that the utility industry and the solar industry are best friends. They just don't know it yet. Because the solar helps clip the peak and avoid the most expensive purchases, and the grid is good for solar because we don't need to buy batteries to keep our customers generating power. Complicated slide. The purpose of this slide is to show both the differentiation of tariffs with respect to system size, and also the fact that there's a design to lower the tariff every year as you go forward. And again, the platform that this feed-in tariff created in Germany has made Germany an industrial and economic center for renewable technology. Over 300,000 people in a country of 80 million work in renewables in Germany. If we had the similar success here in New York, we'd have almost 100,000 people in our state working in this arena. So is the feed-in tariff expensive or is it cheap? Okay. This is a little bit easier to read version of that slide where we break everything out. The yellow slice, now this data is about 2 years old and the rates have increased from what you see here by a little bit, but the yellow slice is what is being paid for all feed-in tariff technologies, wind, biomass, and solar. And they all work really well together because the wind and biomass pull down the base load and the solar clips the peak. So they really work well together. But notice the 1.8 cent concessionary levy. This is the importance of politics. The concessionary levy is a fee that's charged to every German ratepayer to support the coal industry. A dying industry gets 1.8 cents per kilowatt hour, and a mature and thriving industry gets 1 cent per kilowatt hour. I've been working with the Germans when I was with Atlantis, buying solar cells from Q-Cells, and these numbers are for real. We just never hear them here. And then there's this issue of the merit order effect, which is the constant. It applies in Germany and it applies in New York State. The idea is that when the ISO is seeking power, when the demand is low, the low-cost generators operate. As demand starts to rise, the higher-priced generators come online, but the low-priced generator gets that higher price for all those hours, and it keeps stepping up that way. It has not been, Fraunhofer Institute did a study. They found that the FIT cost German ratepayers €4 billion in 2006. But they calculate, and this is a simulated study, that the savings of avoided power purchases were €5 billion. And primarily it's because wind and and biomass are able to compete effectively against the natural gas plants that constitute a lot of the base load.